You know, whatever camp that you fall into, whatever camp you fall into, that's fine. But the reality is, is that honestly, if you spend as a webmaster, if you're, I don't want to say a serious webmaster, but if you're a dedicated webmaster and you spend every day looking at your search results and you're on Google Plus and you're doing all the things that you should be doing, and you continue to do your link building, it's pretty darn hard to attribute one to the other at this point in time.
Sure.
And so until you can do that, until there's some way to be able to draw that correlation, it's like, you know, it's just we're gonna have to depend on them for yes, it's working, or no, it's not. What I do know is this, definitively, I can put something on G+, and it will pop into the SERPs within 2 or 3 hours, sometimes even less, depending on. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Now, keeping it there is another issue, but that means faster than any page rank crap that, you know, they used to say the higher your page rank, the more you were visited. Now that's like an instant, and that's awesome. You know, that's really awesome.
And then imagine if you were to do a little schema work like Doc did, and that comes up, what, in a few minutes, huh?
Oh, almost immediately, yeah.
Yeah.
All of those things, that's just smart SEO. That's just smart SEO. You know, you have to take advantage of everything that you have and that you do. So to that end, Google Plus is awesome for that. And if you're a content provider, you know, if you want eyeballs for whatever, I really recommend that you spend some time over in Google, create or be part of a Google community, which I think those are just that's like the diamond in the rough with Google Plus, or those Google communities. You know, they're like little forums within Google community on all different kinds of topics. And get involved and get people to start following you and follow people and put your stuff out there, because the more that you can do that, the stronger your signal is going to become. So down the road, when this stuff is used, if it's used, you're going to have some authority in those areas, and that's smart.
Yeah. Yep. So bringing us to, I mean, I hate using the word link builder, but as a scaled business, are link builder providers, do you consider them a dying breed, or is there hope for them? So because we get so many, you know, conversations going about that. Some people say it's not dying. Some people say, oh yeah, you need to know how to do it. Some people are calling them citations, yada 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 yada. So what say you?
So the way that I see this, and one of the nice things about having been around the block a couple of times in SEO is that you get to know people through the years, both personally, professionally, online, offline. And I'm really lucky that there's a core group of link builders and people in the industry. You'll find them if you go over to Ray Hoffman's blog. You know, she does a link building wrap-up every year of people who are in the industry, and those people, we stay in touch almost on a daily basis, most of us. We talk, we share things amongst ourselves, mostly help, you know, and screaming. But one of the things that we all have found and we agree on as service providers is it's damn hard to do it alone anymore. And I used to be able to do it alone because I used to be able to employ tools and just a couple of people and handle a lot of business. But those tools don't work anymore, and those tactics are being questioned. And a lot of that stuff, you know, leaves footprints that you don't want followed. You know, they're being able to drop a lot of directory links or do the article marketing or some of the other things that we used to do, forum marketing and so forth. Those tools are not as effective anymore. They still work in some cases if used selectively, but overall not en masse like we used to use them. That makes sense because the algorithms changed. Okay? A lot of people say anchor text is dying. I don't think that's the case at all. I think anchor, what has been increased, or the filters, or the way that they look at anchors, they probably turned the notch way up. And now instead of saying, if it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, and smells like a duck, it's bad. Now it's just if it walks like a duck. The parameters for determining whether something was naturally attributed or editorially given, I think that has been bumped up. I don't think anchor text is dead at all.
I'd agree.
And so I just think the way that it's being, interpreted and used and integrated into the way that they rank a page has been changed. And so if people want to run around out there and stop using anchor text or putting focus on anchor text, that's cool. I'll keep doing it. But I don't think it's changed. And so as service providers, it now takes a whole lot more to make that village go.
Right.
Used to be able to do it with a couple of outreach people and a couple of content writers. It's just a whole different ballgame now with social and with mobile and having to work influencers and having to work just so many different parts of the pie. So, to that I would say they're not a dying breed, but they have to wear different hats, and you can't just think of it anymore as how can I get a whole bunch of links. It's more about how can I market a page. Sadly, not a lot of people have that marketing background. A lot of people came into the business technically or from a design standpoint. In that marketing hat, that creative hat, they have to get help with that. And if they can get the help with it or partner with somebody that can, they're going to be fine. But just the old way of doing a link wheel and doing directories and doing forum links, it just doesn't. You need a much bigger strategy.
Sure, but I think, again, like you stated, depending on what you're doing in the campaign and the vertical, but some of those things can still work, like maybe directories or, when you're getting so focused in a niche market. We have a potential client that we're working with, and they want to join social, and they want to join this, and when that it doesn't make sense for them. But some directories might very well make sense for them, or even taking them offline might make sense for them. So I just, I want to kind of, dig a little deeper into that. Is directory completely dead, or can it make sense?
Well, if you need to break it down into types, into categories, if you will. So there are a handful of general directories that are still good. Like, I think if you're a new site especially, these are really good editorial votes, if you will. You go to the Yahoo directory and you pay for the link and the Best of the Web and the Joant directories. Those are all really great because they're editorially controlled.
Right.
If you can get into the DMOZ, woohoo!
Yeah, right.
And if you can't, that's fine too. And there might be one or two other general directories. After that, it's all niche and geo.
Right.
So you'll want to find the problem with niche directories, in my mind, is that a lot of them are database friendly. So they belong to associations and they belong to different entities. They might not be open and easily crawled and spidered. On the other hand, so what? If your target audience is behind those things, that makes a ton of sense for you to be listed there.
Sure.
Geo directories, your yellow pages, and that kind of stuff. For the most part, those links are using a lot of parameters to them that don't allow them to be linked, or they're using no follows, or again, they're just so buried in the database they don't really get crawled. But again, a lot of those aggregate into other geo directories.
Right, and so it would make sense. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
The directory thing, do it and move on. It's one of those one-off foundational things you can do and then just move on.
Right, right. Which brings us to the next question. Doc, do you want to take it, or did we lose you, Doc?
Sorry, I forgot to unmute. Doc, one of the things that this recent focus by Google on link hunting has brought about is business for folks like me, helping people recover from penalties, cleaning up their link profiles, for instance. From your perspective, Deb, you've probably got a better idea than a lot of SEOs about what makes a healthy link profile. So what would you suggest? Is there a standard approach that you'd recommend that people should use when they're trying to clean up their profile or keep it clean? Something like, look at this and this and this primarily.
Cleaning up links, boy, that's a big category or a big part of things to talk about. It really changes by site, and it depends on what happens to you as well. For example, if you just notice that you've fallen numerous spots in the SERPs, in the search engine results, and I mean, like 6, 8, 10 spots, but you didn't get a love note, you're probably victim of an algorithmic switch, some sort of change or some sort of update or whatever. And you might want to take a look at your backlink profile and compare it to the people who are now ranking ahead of you, and just take a look. It could very well be that a lot of your links were ignored, smacked, removed, I don't know. It really depends on what has happened behind you. But here's the thing. People tend only to look at their backlinks when they get into trouble. And you really should be taking care of your backlinks all the time. You should keep an eye on who's linking to you all the time, know who they are, know why they're linking to you, what content they're linking to you, what pages are being linked to, that kind of thing.
Uh-oh. Did we lose Deborah? Doc, did we lose everybody? Uh-oh. There we go. Do we have sound again?
I can hear you, Gabs.
Okay, there we go. There. Maria, we can hear you briefly, but Doc, I think, is gone. Doc, are you there?
No.
I was muted.
You were muted.
Well,
hopefully the
now it's up to you, Gabrielle.
Yeah, hopefully the recording won't be as bad as our actual real-time audio. So Doc, you're still recording, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're on air.
Okay. All right. So yeah, because Deborah, you froze. You went, somewhere else, and I don't know where you froze, but
we can edit that out.
Okay.
I guess the main point about the answer to Doc's question is that I think it's important that people understand that part of link building is not always done in response to something. You have to be proactive, and being proactive means you have to watch your backlinks all the time. If you're checking SERPs every day, you should be checking your backlinks as well. You should be keeping an eye on that to know who are your advocates and who your influencers are, who's linking to you, who is supporting you with the link. That's a big deal anymore today to get a link from somebody. So you can take that information and then use it in future marketing efforts if you know who's linking to you. If somebody falls in the SERPs, the first thing you need to do is look at the people ahead of you and do a comparison with backlinks. That's a great place to start. And then kind of keep an eye, too, on what they're doing maybe on Google Plus and on the other social networks, and just do a small, you can even do an eye comparison. You don't have to sit down and spend a lot of time doing that to see which links potentially could be hurting you.
Just for some of our listeners that aren't familiar with what a link profile looks like, is there a tool that you would recommend people to use in order to do a link profile comparison, or should they just do it manually, or what would you suggest?